So for this video, I thought I'd do something a little different. Rather than go over how the Thermacell portable unit works, I thought I would try to answer some of the questions that I see being asked online in different locations in hopes that it might help somebody if they were on the fence. Um, One of the questions I see being asked all the time is, does it really work? So I've been using Thermacell since they first came out, and I can't even remember exactly when that was. Um, but I have an original Thermacell unit. When they first came out, they were actually bigger. My unit is taller and a little bit wider. It's not quite as compact as this, but that's kind of how old it is. Um, and so, based on my experiences with it, I can definitely say that it works. I have used it for hunting in warm weather. I've used it for working out in the yard during projects in the summer. I've used it when I was cutting the grass, different situations, um, and it works. It's effective. One of the other questions I see asked a lot is, how hot does it get? Um, so the unit will heat up a little bit, and the heat predominantly comes from this plate right here. Um, I wouldn't say that it does warm up a little bit, but it's not to the point where it's uncomfortable if you're wearing it, attached to your body or something like that. You can feel it that it's a little warm, but it's not so hot that you're going to be burned or be painful. Now, I will tell you, this space right here does get warm for sure, and so you wouldn't want to try to touch that plate right there. If you could get past this guard right here, I definitely wouldn't recommend that because it does get warm. Another question I see asked a lot is, will it work on other insects besides mosquitoes? My experience has been no. It definitely doesn't work on ticks. Um, it doesn't work on like horse flies, at least in my experience. And I live in North Carolina, and we have these things, especially in the eastern part of the state, towards the beach, that are commonly called no-see-ums. It doesn't seem to work on them either, but it does work on mosquitoes, and it's very effective. Um, Another question I see asked is, how long does the fuel cell last? So the fuel cell will last for 12 hours. Um, and that's what they advertise it lasting for, and I have found that to be accurate. Um, how long do the mats last? So this is one of the repellent mats. You can see on this side, this is the side that was down against the heating element. You can see how it heats up and turns a little bit black. Um, the repellent mats last about 4 hours. And then another question that I see is, how do you know when it's time to change the mat? The mats are completely blue when you first open the package, the replacement mats. And as the mat, the repellent in the mat is used, it begins to transition to white. So this particular mat I actually used this weekend, and you can see it's probably got another 30 to 45 minutes worth of use on it. And by the time it's out, this thing will be pretty much almost completely white. You can still see a little blue on the edges. As long as there's blue, it still has the repellent material on it. Another question I see asked a lot is, does it smell? Um, so I've been using a Thermacell long enough that when they were first introduced, um, the mats actually did emit a smell. Um, so much so that Thermacell came out with different scents on these, as in smells. And the most popular one was called Earth Scent, and it was very popular for hunters because that's what a lot of people, at least in the very beginning, were using this for was hunting in warm weather. Now, Thermacell has continued to evolve, and the current mats that they have, I cannot detect an odor at all, not to me. And I have a fairly sensitive nose, but I can't detect an odor on the current mats. Another question I see asked a lot is, does it work in the wind? And the answer to me, based on my experience, is it's not as effective in the wind because as the mat heats up, it emits a vapor, and that vapor kind of spreads out around you. And of course, if you're if you're in the wind blows the vapor away from you, and that vapor is what drives the mosquitoes away. So, in my opinion, it's not as effective in the wind. Another question I see asked is, how long does it take to start working? It takes about, at least in my experience, around 15 minutes before the vapor has before this unit has heated up enough and with the fuel cell on it, or sorry, the mat on it, to get enough of the vapor out before you start to see um, good mosquito repellent coverage. When you first turn it on, uh, you'll start to see the mosquito activity begin to gradually kind of decrease and decrease and decrease. And then it seems to be like at max potency around 15 minutes. Um, Another question I've seen asked is, how do you change the mats? Well, the mats just slide in to the unit just like this. And basically you push it out, and you can use a thumbnail basically to get it started. I like to use um, my keys to push it out, and so basically I just take a key like you see on my keychain here and just push like that. And once you get it out like this, it just slides out, and then you put the new one in, and the mats can go in from either side. Another question that I see asked a lot is, how do you replace the fuel unit? So the fuel cell unit comes with a top, and basically to replace it, you just push this in right here and pull it out, and then you'll see a opening right there, and you just push this in to where it meets resistance, and then you turn it, you screw it just like you were, and then it's tight now, and you put the cap back on, and it's replaced. So it's very easy to replace the fuel cell, very easy to replace the mats, very easy to run. Another question I saw is, how do you know if it's on? And I'll kind of do a demonstration. We're going to turn the fuel cell on, and you hear it. You can actually hear it start to activate, and we're going to hit the start button. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a little red light. You may not be able to see it completely. I'm not really sure, but there's a little red light that tells you it's on and it's active. And also, I'll be quiet for a second, you can basically kind of hear it running. And it's starting to heat up. So hopefully you saw that. There's just a little red light right there. That's what this little opening is for. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And then the other thing that I see a lot of people ask is, how do you attach it? This particular model, this is the MR300. There's the model number on it. And this particular model has this clip that is removable. And so basically, if you push it down, I really don't want to take it off because I use it all the time, but basically if you push this down, this clip will pop off. Like I said, I don't want to damage it. I don't want to take it off either. Anyway, this clip, you just push it in and push it up and it locks in place. And it does a pretty good job of keeping it, if you want to wear it on your person. If you don't, you can lay it down like this near you. Another question that I've seen asked is kind of, what's the effective range? Thermacell advertises 15 feet when it's not windy. I would say that's probably fairly accurate. I have been in a deer blind with my kids, and I've got a fairly big 3-person deer blind it's actually a 4 or 5 person. It's a pretty big one. And inside there with this thing on in the summer, or sorry, in the warm hunting season, that thing is at least 12 feet from one side to the other, and you get full coverage inside there with no issues. So I would say the 12 to 15 foot range is probably pretty accurate. But I didn't want this video to go too long. I just wanted to kind of focus on the common questions. Hopefully you found that useful.